The new kid on Maple Street. Leo stood on the sidewalk of Maple Street, clutching his backpack straps until his knuckles turned white. Everything here was different. The houses were painted in shades of honey and cream, and the air smelled like freshly cut grass and mystery. Behind him, the massive moving truck hissed, looking like a giant metal beetle parked at the curb of his new life. "Deep breaths, Leo," his father, Silas, said as he stepped off the back of the truck. He was carrying a stack of boxes that reached all the way to his chin. "New places are just old friends you haven't met yet. Why don't you go explore the backyard while I finish up with the heavy stuff?" Leo nodded slowly, feeling a tiny spark of curiosity. Leo turned away from the house and walked toward the wooden gate that led to the backyard. The grass was longer here, tickling his ankles as he walked. He felt small in such a big, quiet space, but the sunlight felt like a warm blanket on his shoulders. He wondered if this yard held any secrets. The backyard was a jungle of overgrown ferns and ancient trees. As Leo stepped through the tall grass, something shimmering caught his eye. Tucked under a bush was a leaf, but it wasn't the orange-red of the maples. It was a brilliant, glowing sapphire blue, pulsing with a soft, magical light that made his fingertips tingle when he reached for it. "I wouldn't touch that if I were you." "Unless you want to turn into a blue jay," a voice chirped from above. Leo jumped, dropping the leaf. Perched atop the weathered wooden fence was a boy with messy hair and a bright yellow cape tied around his neck. He was grinning wide, swinging his legs back and forth like a pendulum. The boy hopped down from the fence with the grace of a cat. "I'm Arlo," he announced, extending a hand covered in smudges of dirt. "I've lived on Maple Street since I was 0. I'm the chief explorer, and you must be the new kid. You have the look of someone who's ready for an adventure." Leo tentatively shook his hand, feeling his nervousness melt away. Arlo pulled a crumpled, hand-drawn map from his pocket. It was covered in colorful doodles of dragons, hidden tunnels, and X marks. "Maple Street isn't what it looks like," Arlo whispered, leaning in close. "There's a secret world hidden right behind the hedges. Do you want to see the map of curiosities?" Leo leaned in, his eyes widening at the drawings. They set off together, tiptoeing past a tree Arlo called the Old Willow. Arlo explained that the tree was actually a silent guardian that only spoke in rustles and sighs. Leo noticed that with Arlo by his side, the strange street didn't feel scary anymore. He felt like he was part of a secret club that only the two of them knew about. They passed through a neighbor's side yard where the flowers were taller than Leo. The towering sunflowers seemed to nod at them as they passed, like golden giants greeting a new friend. "They're watching for intruders," Arlo joked, "but they like you. I can tell, because they aren't dropping any seeds on your head." At the very end of the street, where the sidewalk ended and the woods began, they reached a heavy iron gate. It was nearly hidden by thick, twisting vines of ivy and sparkling morning glory. Leo reached out to touch the metal, which felt ancient and cold. This was the boundary between the neighborhood and the unknown. "This is the entrance to the Whispering Grove," Arlo said, his voice full of awe. He stood back and crossed his arms, looking at the gate with a serious expression. "I've tried to open it 100 times by myself, but it's a 2-person gate. It only opens for 2 people who are working together toward the same goal." Leo placed his hands on the cold iron, and Arlo did the same. "On the count of 3, Arlo commanded. 1, 2, 3. Shove!" They pushed with all their might, their sneakers digging into the dirt. The old hinges gave a long, musical creak, and the vines snapped like brittle threads. The gate swung open, revealing a hidden path made of shimmering white pebbles that sparkled like stars fallen to earth. "We did it," Leo shouted, his voice echoing through the trees. Arlo grinned and gave him a high five. The air inside the grove was cooler and smelled like pine needles and old books. They followed the pebble path deeper into the grove. The trees here didn't grow straight. They twisted and turned as if they were dancing. Arlo pointed out a hollow log that he said was a highway for squirrels, and a patch of moss that felt like the softest velvet. Leo had never seen anything so beautiful. The path led them to a clearing where the sunbeams looked like solid pillars of gold. In the center stood a tree so large its branches seemed to support the sky itself. Arlo pointed upward to a magnificent wooden structure nestled in the boughs. "The Great Lookout," Arlo said. "I've been waiting for a partner to help me reach the top." Leo took the first step, his heart racing with excitement. The rope was sturdy and smelled of old wood and adventure. He gripped the rungs tightly, pulling himself up. With every step, he felt a little braver and a little taller. He wasn't just the boy who had moved into a new house. He was an explorer. "Keep going, Leo. You're almost there," Arlo called out from below. He grabbed the ladder and began to climb right after him. Arlo moved with the confidence of someone who had practiced this in his dreams. The two of them ascended through the leaves, leaving the ground far behind. Soon, both boys were sitting in the treehouse, their legs dangling over the edge of the wooden porch. Inside, the treehouse was filled with treasures: a rusty compass, a collection of smooth river stones, and a pair of old binoculars. "This is our headquarters," Arlo said, handing Leo the binoculars. "The whole street is our kingdom now." From up here, Leo could see the whole world. He looked through the binoculars and saw his new house. He saw his dad, Silas, waving from the driveway far below. Leo waved back with both hands, his face beaming. Silas looked like a tiny toy, but the love in his wave was as big as the sky. The sun began to set, painting the sky in streaks of violet and orange. Arlo and Leo sat in silence for a moment, watching the neighborhood lights flicker on one by one. Leo realized he wasn't the new kid anymore. He was a friend, a partner, and an explorer. Maple Street wasn't just a place to live. It was finally home.
Thanks for watching our story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Tell us your thoughts in the comments.